Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 89 of a year change. A couple things we're going to talk about today. First and foremost, just want to say sorry for the horrible quality of the stuff yesterday. I didn't realize until it was too late and everything was all done that I had been poking and punching at the mic and the camera was all askew and a whole bunch of other stuff. I was going to re-record it, but then I thought, no, because then it's going to take away from that. This is the very first time I'm eating a bug sort of thing. And you want to go, oh, well, no, I've just opened this for the very first time. So anyway, that's why I kept everything in. Tried to do as best a job as I could. And re-uploaded it again late last night. So hopefully the quality is going to be a little bit better. But as of right now, it was shite. So sorry about that. But hopefully today's going to be a little bit better. I'm not going to be poking at the mic and putting things on my desk and everything else. So this should work out a little bit better. So, today, actually, I want to talk about an announcement that the FDA did a couple of days ago, on June 16th. So, because, well, for you, I don't know when you're watching this, but it's June 16th, 2015. And they decided to put an outright ban on trans fats in food. So, trans fats are basically just the things that make everything taste awesome. They give it a longer shelf life. They preserve it a little bit better. Basically, all it is just something that normally would be an oil. There's a process. They pump hydrogen into it and a bunch of other very sciencey things so that it stays at a solid at room temperature, like margarine, for example. And they'll use it in a lot of stuff like frosting and ice cream, stuff like that. Well, ice cream doesn't stay at room temperature, but you know what I mean. So basically, it extends the shelf life of it. I don't know if it actually acts as a preservative. It might. Shortening and lard and stuff like that, that's the same sort of thing. So basically all the good stuff. So what they've decided to do, though, because they know that it's so dangerous, and I'm sort of torn two different ways on this. So because they know it's so bad, they've just said there's going to be an outright ban on trans fats in the States. They're giving people 3 years so that manufacturers can fiddle around and change a bunch of stuff. Probably come up with a few things that are better and a few things that are worse for us. But as long as the FDA goes, no, as long as it's not a trans fat, then we're okay. So there has been regulation, there we go, for a while, saying they have to list the trans fat on products. And unless you're really into it, and obviously I'm not, you're never going to look. You're never going to be bothered. But apparently it has, it raises bad cholesterol and lowers good cholesterol. So there's two different kinds. This is a lot of stuff that I'm just uneducated on. And this is the part of the problem, is that we don't look into it and say, oh, there's 0.7 grams of trans fat. That's bad? Because you don't really know unless you actually look into it and try to, get to a stage where you understand, well, 0.7 grams is this much, and here it is in relation to what I'm doing and everything else. We simply don't know. We don't pay enough attention to it. But there's a regulation right now that if it's less than half a gram, I think, or 0.5, yeah. 0.5 or 0.5 milligrams or 0.5 grams? I think it's 0.5 grams. So less than half a gram of trans fat per serving, they can actually list it as 0. They don't have to actually mark it as 0.5. In Canada, we do. We don't have a ban on it. We eat a lot less of it than we did years ago. But they have to list everything on it for ours. But in the U.S., they're now saying, it will matter in 3 years. By 2018, it needs to be gone completely. And something just stabbed me in the eye. I'm okay. So overall, I guess they're looking at it saying, well, it's from a health perspective. I'm sure that there's something in there as well that's saying, the healthcare system, it's costing more money for that. This is, again, though, put out by the Food and Drug Administration. And they're saying, no, it's sort of summarily bad for you. There's no benefit to it health-wise, so that's why they're finally enacting this ban. Now, the reason why this sort of is a bit weird for me, because trying to have two different opposing views in your head at the same time is a little confusing. But on one side of it, I look at it and think, okay, I understand that. Yes, it's very bad. It's very unhealthy. There's really no benefit to it other than, preservation of the food. Considering the fact we waste so much food anyway, I can't imagine that that's going to be a major thing in it. And plus the health care costs and everything else, the amount of deaths that happen from it, I can understand why they're saying, okay, on this side, yes, we need to ban it. It's a dangerous substance. Fine, I get it. However, what I don't understand is why they're not doing that for everything else that's bad. That is just as bad. And like cigarettes or alcohol or any sort of fatty foods or high amounts of sugar. It's going to get to a point where they're going to start saying that because, it's causing the same problem. I understand that this is something that's very specific, and that's what they're looking at. But there are so many other things that they could, and they're still food and drug related. I don't know, with alcohol? No, that would be the ATF, wouldn't it? You know what? I would think that the FDA must have some regulation on alcohol as well. It's like, you can't put turpentine in it. So anyway, and not to badmouth smoking or alcohol or anything else, because part of me thinks, yes, I understand why there's that ban on there, but the other part of me is thinking, if it's our choice, let us have it. If we decide that, no, obviously I'm going to do this, I want to eat as many cakes and cookies as possible, then people shouldn't be sort of saying you aren't allowed to eat that. However, again, then that sort of bleeds into everything else, where, especially in my case, with this, I could certainly say, let me eat whatever I want to eat. The fact is, I had no idea how bad it was. So it's just a matter of being uneducated on the subject. If people were completely educated on it, then I can understand them saying, all right, we're going to allow it. It's very dangerous, but here's all the information. And as long as you know the information, like have us write a test or something. If we pass the test and say, okay, I know exactly what the dangers are. I know everything that's right with it, everything that's wrong with it, then fine. Then you can say, all right, now we'll let you, if you want, you can have the choice of eating it or smoking it or drinking it or whatever. But the fact that we don't know, that we simply don't care, I think is probably part of why they're doing this as well. Because there has to be some point when you look at it and say, okay, yes, it's fine for people to be able to eat and do whatever they want. Even if it doesn't harm anybody else, if it's just harming themselves, fine, let them do it. However, if they're so uneducated that they can't understand the dangers to it, then at what point you have to sort of step in and protect them from themselves. So that's where this is sort of going back and forth for me. Because on one hand, I understand that they're saying, no, it's very bad, you shouldn't be eating and everything else. And on the other hand, I'm thinking, yeah, but you let us smoke, you let us drink, you let us have all sorts of other fatty foods. Why is it this one thing? Anyway, there's an interesting debate for discuss amongst yourselves. And I'm not bad-mouthing smoking and alcohol and stuff like that. Everybody knows it's bad for you, but I still drink. I used to smoke, and I quit mainly because of money and I couldn't breathe. Not because I was a militant, like, oh, smoking is evil, it'll kill you. Everyone knows that smoking is bad. They have known from day one that smoking is bad. So any of you out there that are going, no, it's just so horrible, we never knew. Bullshit. It's fucking smoke. Anyway, we've had this discussion before. Same thing with alcohol. Everybody knows that it's bad for you. And there are people out there that just simply can't handle it. Whether you're an alcoholic or you just are a drunk. Because there are two different ways of looking at it. But, they don't regulate that. Well, they sort of regulate it, but they don't ban it outright. They tried a long time ago, and it did not fucking work. So, and the same thing, we're going through the same thing here in Canada with cigarettes, that in a couple of weeks, we aren't going to be able to even buy menthol cigarettes. Because that is what's causing kids to smoke. I have no fucking idea why they think that. Apparently because menthol cigarettes are primarily smoked by younger people. But you know what? I started smoking when I was 14, and actually no, that's not true. My first cigarette was a menthol, but I never smoked them. I would smoke regular cigarettes. And that's all that's going to happen. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. We're trying to stay with fat things, not smoky things and drinky things. But in general, it's just that matter of saying, okay, on one hand, we need to protect these people from themselves because obviously they aren't educating themselves on the subject. They don't know the danger that they're in. And it's like some child playing in, a power station. At some point, you can say, yeah, you're having fun and you're not hurting anybody. But you have no idea what's going on. There's like a shark going to attack you or something. A land shark. I just realized there's a shark in a power station. He could have a scuba suit on or something. Like a reverse Anyway, Scooby-Doo? I was going to say reverse Scooby-Doo. I think that's something different. I'm getting off topic. Mostly going to stay on topic. But when someone doesn't understand the danger that they're in or that they're posing to themselves, at what point do you need someone to step in and say, okay, you're an idiot. You don't get how much danger you're in. We're going to just remove the danger for you. And in a situation like this, it's something that it makes food taste better. It makes it last longer. But you know what? So did MSG. And we got used to that. So we'll get used to this. And up in Canada, it isn't going to affect us aside from stuff that we import. Although, you know what? I'm wondering, I don't know if it's actually just the manufacturer or just can't be sold in the States. I haven't done enough research. See? Here's what happens. We don't educate ourselves properly and we don't have all the information and it makes us look like an arsehole. Anyway, so there's getting sort of away from the trans fat thing, getting back to the other dangerous substances that are out there. I don't understand why not that I don't understand. I get why they don't do that with tobacco and alcohol because the taxes and the money that the government brings in from that is insanely high. And they would be very, very stupid to get rid of it. Because the amount of money that they bring in, if they were to lose that, there's already such a huge deficit that it would just start compounding it and it would... Plus, people would riot. You could take away their booze. They're going to break the law. They're going to do bad things. You take away people's cigarettes and they will riot. Not just because you're smokers. This has been proven pretty much everywhere else. Even in prisons, you can take away someone's TV. You can take away their food. You can take away their clothes. You can take away their bathroom. You can take away everything. They will eventually get around it one way or the other. But you take away their cigarettes and prison riots. It's been shown. Anyway, I don't know by who. I don't know where I'm getting that bit of information, but it's specifically the cigarette thing. It's probably from some stupid movie, and it's probably not true. I will have to look it up. Anyway, but if the FDA is actually doing this for the express purpose of saying, no, we need to protect these people from ingesting something or partaking in something that's damaging to them, they need to start doing it with everything. And that's where that slippery slope lies. Slippery slope lies, because once you start doing it with one substance, you need to start doing it with all the others. And again, the MSG thing, for me, I would think they should be doing this with artificial sweeteners as well, because there's a lot of bad stuff in there. It just seems very selective when they're doing these things. So maybe trans fats are really that bad that they say, no, if it's much worse than smoking, much worse than alcohol, much worse than MSG, all the other good stuff. So if they're just outright banning it, I'm sure there is a very, logical, scientific reason that is well above my pay grade. But part of me is thinking, if you're going to start doing that, you're going to eventually start doing it with everything. So at one point, do they say, well, we need to get rid of salt? That, it has to be, although, salt is one of those things that humans actually need. So like cigarettes and alcohol, when do they start doing that? Or other bad things. I'm trying to think of like another example. There's sugar, salt, fat, cigarettes, alcohol, motorcycles. There we go. I'll pick on motorcyclists. So for all you bikers out there, sorry, but as opposed to being in a nice enclosed case with a roll cage surrounded by steel and everything's very safe in little airbags, you can strap a rocket to your crotch and fire yourself down the highway wearing a little tiny helmet to protect you from everything. At what point do they come in and say, well, we need to do this because they don't understand the danger that they're in and everything else? So it's very weird. And I'm not doing this to sort of, shit on government and say, oh, it's bad. Obviously, it's a health risk. It's something that they need to look at. And if they're saying that, no, we need to outright ban it, that's how bad it is, chances are it's pretty fucking bad. It's just something to sort of think about, not to start, an uprising and go, oh, no, stay out of our menus. People did that when Michelle Obama started up her stuff, and they were furious that she wanted their kids to eat healthily. So we're going to talk about their contributions in general anyway, next week, I think. Yeah, but people get very, very angry when you start saying, this is bad for you, you shouldn't be eating that, and then take it away. They act like a 5-year-old that you've literally just taken away their cupcake. They'll start screaming and stomping their feet and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. In this situation, though, I think because not a lot of people know what trans fats are, and they don't understand it, and like me, even just trying to read up after I heard about it, because you sort of know in the back of your head that it's bad, but you don't know why or how they create it or what it is, because it's not a natural fat. It's something that they actually, well, I mean, you can find it some places, but generally it's a process that they go through to make it turn into a solid instead of an oil. That's pretty much all it is. So where people don't really know what it is, ironically enough, the people who actually probably know the most about what it is and the dangers it can do for you are the people that would normally, I would imagine, agree with this. And part of me is in there with them, saying, you know what, if it's that bad for us, that it's, increasing healthcare costs and people are dying from it and a whole slew of other shit, and just if it's that bad for us, then certainly get rid of it. We don't obviously need it. It's not a necessity. It's not like they're taking away protein or, carbohydrates or salt or sugar, or any of the necessities that we need, like no more vitamin C. It's something that we obviously don't need. It's mainly there to make things taste better and last longer. That's really the crux of it, from what I can gather. Anyway, this is going on far too long. Actually, not too bad. So we're okay. But it's a very narrow topic. So, that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to really sum up, other than try to figure out whether or not I agree with it. The majority, I'm leaning more towards, yes, I think they probably should get rid of it. But there is still that part of me that thinks it's still our responsibility. And if we want to remain uneducated and eat it, then fine. And then part of me goes, yes, but if you don't know what you're doing, then the land shark will kill your kid in the power station. I don't know why you're letting your kids play in a power station with sharks to begin with. That's irresponsible parenting, personally. So, and I'm not apologizing for that one. That is being an irresponsible parent. And you know it is. So, go get your kid from the power station, get rid of the sharks, put them someplace safe. Had that conversation so many times this week, I don't even know where to start. Anyway, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.